Right, so we'll go ahead and get started, but people will have the opportunity to join as they come in. So thanks for being with us today. If you're new, my name is Brandy. I am the case manager here at the Cohen Clinic. I'm also a licensed clinical social worker, and so I do provide multi different roles here at the clinic. But we serve outpatient mental health services for military, whether that is an active duty service member, a veteran, their family member, anyone that has been impacted by the duty of a service member. We have Cohen clinics all across the country, soon to be all across the world. So we have multiple ones over different states. If we don't have one physically in state, a lot of times we service, local areas or different states, adjacent states through telehealth. We also have our partner organization up here in Alaska, Alaska Behavioral Health. They serve population of pretty much anyone, not just military. So we're basically their military program, but they also have, partial hospitalization, outpatient, child and family, adult services, all these different kinds of really cool programs. Should that be something that you need help connecting with, you're more than welcome to reach out to myself, reach out to Carrie. Carrie is also a case manager up here in Alaska with our Cohen Clinic. She's presenting today on supporting the caregivers. So I'll hand it over to Carrie and let her introduce herself and kick off the day.
Okay, I'm going to start by saying I'm electronically challenged here. So when it comes to this technology thing, you got to just kind of bear with me, okay? But anyway, so I'm Carrie. I'm in Fairbanks, Alaska. We're actually kind of happy today. It's in the positives, maybe only a single degree positive, but I mean it's still positive weather. So I mean that's a plus, right? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start by sharing my screen. Again, have patience with me when it comes to, you know, let's see here. Okay, here we go. Hopefully everybody can see it. Brandy's going to be moderating, or checking on the chat, stuff like that. So if you have questions or anything, please just put it in there, and Brandy will be able to help out. Okay, so we're going to talk about supporting the support system and caring for our caregivers. Um, Okay, so what is a caregiver? A caregiver is basically an individual that assumes responsibility for another person. They provide ongoing assistance and support. They're able to help people that can't fully meet their own physical, emotional, cognitive, functional, and social needs. So, I mean, caregivers, they could be where they help out with a couple things here or there, or they can do like full-on caregiving. So some people, they just need a little bit of help throughout the house, maybe cooking and cleaning, a few different check-ins throughout the day. And then there's other people that need, the 24-hour care. A lot of times, when it comes to caregiving, families can't really, or the person themselves can't really afford to hire a caregiver. Okay. So right now, the national average for caregivers are $33 an hour. Okay. And with that $33 an hour, there's a minimum of a 4 hour per day. So you're looking at $130 a day just to have somebody there for a couple hours. So if you have a loved one or somebody that needs, 8 hours a day, that's 200 and something dollars per day times seven, times 7 days a week. A lot of the population, they can't afford that kind of money. There is programs that can help pay for some of that. But it's a long process in order to be able to access those services. So anyone can be a caregiver. They can be your spouses, partners, parents, your adult children, extended family, um, friends and neighbors. I know in some circumstances, there's some maybe elderly people that live alone. And so somebody in the community that they've never met before will step up and take responsibility and, become that person's caregiver. There's also remote caregiving is something that I learned about recently that when you have family, that needs caregiving assistance and they live in different states, you can help them from a different state. You can still be a caregiver. You can order their groceries to be delivered. You can, have somebody go in weekly to check on them, maybe hire somebody to come in and clean. I know one of a big tool right now that people use are Alexas. They use the social media, so then that way they program it. So if the person needs help, they can ask Alexa to call 911, or they can ask Alexa to call their daughter or their son to be able to get them the medical support that they need. Caregivers, they help out with more than just, the basic things that what you would think of, oh, okay, we're gonna um take it. It's not like a child, I guess. So when you're helping out caregiving for an adult, it's a much different thing. So for like physical help with daily tasks and safety, maybe somebody needs help with mobility around the house. The things that you don't think about is maybe the toileting, bathing, dressing. Those are activities of daily living that, people are usually able to do on their own, but they do take a lot of strength and physical help from caregivers. Medication and medical and medication management. They always want to make sure, you're ensuring that the medications are taken as prescribed, that they're picked up as needed, medical appointments are scheduled, and the person that you're providing care for is able to attend those appointments. Emotional, listening, comforting, and regulating distress. As a role as a caregiver, it's basically you want to make sure that you're present with them. You're lending them your calm. When they need somebody to listen, you listen, you let them know that they're not alone. And sometimes it could be, if they're going through cancer or they're going through something, a stroke, it's something new to them and it's something distressing. And so you're there to kind of help alleviate some of that burden. Another role of a caregiver is coordination and advocacy, problem solving. There are so many things, such as like finances. You want to make sure that the person's rent's paid. You want to make sure that they have groceries in the house, that their car insurance has been taken care of, that their life insurance is, if they have life insurance, that their payments are made, stuff like that. And you want to be able to advocate for them. So if they need something, you can reach out in the community and say, okay, this is what I'm looking for. How can I go about getting this assistance? Another role of caregiving is being protective. So basically, making sure that if there's any safety features they need around the home, that those safety features are there. Um, Life alert necklaces, special equipment, like the bedside toilets and commodes and stuff like that, so that the person at home is able to be as independent as possible. I know that a lot of the times they're so used to being independent that they don't like to ask for help. And so you want to make sure that the house and their living environment is set up so that they get the help that they need. The unique challenges of caregiving is basically like time and role strain. Um, because they can ask for help, but they have to have the time to ask for that help, right? Because they're busy managing their own lives as well as somebody else's. And so it's easy. Well, I shouldn't say it's easy. Um, it's added pressure, right? Because when we make decisions on our own, it's one thing, but if we make the wrong decision for somebody else, we're not the only ones that have to deal with that. Emotional and mental load. You're taking on the, I don't even want to call it baggage, but you're taking on somebody else's emotional and mental load. So not only are you caring for yourself and your family, you're also doing the same for somebody else. And so you want to make sure that you stay strong, and help out both ways. Um, because caregivers are often under nonstop emotional pressure. And sometimes they'll feel guilty, for not being able to, fully manage. Physical health impact is another unique challenge for caregivers. Um, they put their own health at risk by, lack of time, physical strain, the work that they put on their body, stuff like that to help other people. So it definitely impacts the caregiver. Financial and work stress. Again, like I was saying, caregivers, to get an agency, you're looking at $33 an hour, minimum of 4 hours a day, right? Plus to pay for that, a lot of people just end up having the family and friends do caregiving for them. So not only is that caregiver providing for their own family and working and doing what they need to do, but they also have to come up with ways to help out the other person. Because I mean, sometimes the people that we provide care for, they're not financially stable. Maybe they need assistance with their bills. So that caregiver steps up to be able to find those avenues to be able to offer help. Um, social social isolation is also another unique challenge of caregivers, and that's because they're usually always busy, right? So they're busy at home, they're busy with their family, they're busy with the people that they're taking care of. They don't have time to go out in the community and interact with their friends or go out in the community and watch a movie, just different things like that. So it's pretty social isolating. They're kind of to themselves. They're their own little building. Oh, sorry. See, here I go. All right. System navigation. So caregivers often become care coordinators, right? They have to handle all the different systems, and they're not designed to be user friendly. Sorry. Okay. So, I mean, it's one thing for us, right? We go to the doctors or we go to the bank and we say, okay, I need to get seen for this, or I need to make a deposit, or I want to make a withdrawal. But when you're with somebody else and you're doing it for somebody else, there's all this other paperwork and everything else involved, right? You can't just say, okay, I need this person to get seen because they're not feeling well. If that person's able to make their own decisions, or there hasn't been anything that states that they can't make their own decisions, then a lot of times there's gonna be put burden to try to go around the system to be able to get their needs met. And then there's ethical challenges because you want to make sure that, you're sharing what you need to share, but you're not sharing more than needs to be shared. So caregiver stress, burnout, and compassion, fatigue. It's caregiving is definitely rewarding, but it also carries emotional and physical risks. Okay. So caregiver stress shows up both emotionally and physically. Caregiver burnout happens when stress goes on too long without relief. And compassion fatigue comes from caring deeply for somebody that's in pain for a long period of time. Okay. So stress is pressure, burnout is depletion, and compassion is fatigue. Or compassion fatigue is emotional detachment. Okay. And that can happen from high emotional demands. You have too many people, you're trying to carry too many plates, and chronic responsibility, always having something to do, whether it be in your own home or somebody else's home. Limited rest or relief because you're too busy thinking of what others need, that you can't give your body what it needs. And invisible labor. Basically, there's a lot more into caregiving that we honestly don't see from the outside, okay? Because it's one thing to look on the outside and say, yeah, if I was in that position, I would do this. But you're not in that position, so you don't know exactly everything that that entails. So that invisible labor could be, okay, the caregivers giving somebody a ride to their doctor's appointment. Before they go to that doctor's appointment, they have to help that person get up. They have to help that person get dressed. They have to help that person, have their meals. There's this huge process from the time the person gets up to the time the person gets in the car and actually makes it to that appointment. So signs of stress for caregivers are feeling overwhelmed and irritable. I mean, that's pretty common, right? Even in our own daily lives, when we don't take care of other people, we get the feeling of being overwhelmed or irritable. Trouble sleeping, again, staying up at night thinking, okay, I should have done this, I should have done that. What did I forget to do? All the additional workload that you do to be a caregiver, it causes headaches and tension on the body. And so when you're tense, it makes it hard to be able to relax and see things clearly and be able to sleep, stuff like that. Um, Difficulty focusing. I have that issue. all the time. And I mean, it has nothing to do with being a caregiver. It's just kind of one of those things that happen, right? So we always have so many different things going on that we have to juggle and we have to manage and trying to focus to make sure that what we do is the right thing. Okay. So these are signals, they're not failures. They'll tell us that something needs to change, but not that the caregiver has done something wrong. So it's okay to feel overwhelmed. It's okay to not be able to focus. I'm saying it's okay to have trouble sleeping, but so that might be only okay for a day or so, but then it's really going to catch up to you. I'm just moving this thing all over my board. Look at that. Okay. So anyway, the caregiver stress, it can reduce your capacity for empathy, right? Um, because think if you're taking care of somebody and they need constant social support, they need that constant time where you're like, okay, everything's going to be about that person. If you reduce the capacity for empathy, because then you're looking at somebody else and you're like, yeah, that sucks, but I have it like this. I have it harder. So you're kind of taking away what another caregiver is going, what another caregiver is experiencing. The exposure to ongoing suffering, that's something that I just lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. Okay. Anyway, so exposure to ongoing suffering. It's basically where if you're exposed to the same thing day in, day out, no matter what you do, it's still going to affect you. And so you got to think of different ways to be able to see the bright side, right? So, and then like I care, but I feel empty. I can have so much care for somebody, but at the same time, I'm like, I mean, come on. Um, People with the burnout and compassion fatigue, they do emotional shutdowns where they just feel numb. They'll avoid, caregiving tasks. And sometimes they'll feel guilt or shame about the feelings that, they feel empty or they feel numb or they just don't have the time or the want to be able to help. So barriers to seeking support. So I know there are quite a few barriers for seeking support, and it's not just as easy as, oh, well, they just didn't ask for it, right? Because sometimes they don't have the time to ask for it. Sometimes it's like the internal and emotional barrier, right? I'm an adult. I agreed to be this caregiver. I should be able to do this without any assistance. I should be able to manage this person's life just like I do my own or my children's, and I shouldn't have to ask for help, right? Other barriers could be like time and financial limits. If you're too busy between work, home, and caregiving, where are you going to find the time to get the support that you need? And so that is a very important factor is making time to be able to get that support that you need. Financial limits, that could be a lot of times now, our employers, they provide, free mental health train or, therapy, stuff like that. Our insurances cover that. Um, but there are times where we don't have the financial means to be able to get those the support that we need. System complexity, again, that's just you have to know where to navigate. You have to know who to talk to, where to go, stuff like that. So if you're already overwhelmed with everything else, the last thing you want to do is pull up Google and say, okay, Google, find me some help to take care of what I'm dealing with. Fear of judgment, again, you want to make sure, people are fearful that if I reach out for help, they're going to think that I'm not capable of taking care of somebody, right? Social and cultural barriers. We have to keep in mind that the people that we take care of, they had their lives before their injury or illness or sickness or whatever it is that made them need that assistance. So it's really important to ensure that, their social needs are met and the cultural barriers that we're conscious of them. We want to make sure that when we're seeking support, we want to make sure that we're asking for support that's going to help them in those ways. Um, Another barrier to seeking support is the relationship and boundaries barrier. Basically, you have family members, and you're like, okay, I'm going to be the caregiver for this person. And the family members are like, well, you should do this, or you should do that, or you shouldn't do this, or I want you to do this, or I want you to do that. That makes it really hard for those caregivers to step outside of their realm and be able to ask for help. So caregiver support. Ways that we can give our caregivers support is we can validate their experiences. We can actually listen to what they're feeling and tell them, it's okay to feel that way. You're not alone. I mean, you gotta normalize asking for help. Caregivers matter. We want to reduce the burden. Sometimes reducing the burden can be something as simple as offering to go over and sit with somebody and play cards with them to get the caregiver a little bit of time. I remember when I was younger, multiple times, I couldn't wait. I would tell myself I couldn't wait till I was grown up so that I can be an adult and I can make my own decisions and I can do what I want. Now here I am an adult and I can make my own decisions and do what I want. And I find myself saying, can somebody please just tell me what to do? Somebody guide me. Tell me what's for dinner. Tell me what movie we're going to watch tonight. So just by reducing small burdens like that, be like, okay, tell the caregiver, why don't we watch this movie tonight? Or um, have a crock pot meal delivered to their house, with a little recipe and all the ingredients from Walmart. You just deliver it to the house and say, look, all you got to do is put this in the crock pot and the meal's done. Taking care of those little activities actually make the biggest impact. Because even taking out little chores throughout the day. Encourage the caregivers to take breaks because it's okay to take breaks for yourself. Um, you can't care for somebody else if you need to care. Provide emotional and practical support. You want to be there for them. You want to let them know that it's okay to make the wrong decision. It really is because um, almost everything can be recorrected. You want to be available if they need somebody, offer to be there for them. And then remind them of their identity beyond the caregiver role, right? So, and then I lost my train of thought again. Look at me just go. All right. Identity beyond their caregiving. Basically, they have to have a life themselves, right? So their life can't revolve around taking care of everybody else and not having the time to take care of themselves. So even if it's just again, encouraging a break, taking 15 minutes to go do something that's enjoyable for them, whether that be reading a book or scrolling through their social media, just something to kind of sit back and take a few seconds for themselves. Um, Redefining how we look at self-care. It's not a luxury, right? Oop. Um, Caregivers, they need to let go of perfection because a lot of times they put a lot more pressure on themselves than what's actually out there. Um, They need to know that it's okay to love somebody and feel exhausted at the same time. Setting small, realistic actions for self-care, like, I'm going to take 20 minutes today and I'm going to go get my nails done. Okay, that was a bad example. It takes way more than 20 minutes. But just setting, small, realistic actions, saying, okay, so today I'm going to do this for myself. Tomorrow I'm going to do that for myself and make those things that actually fit into your real life. Don't make them don't say, I'm gonna go out for a 2 mile run tomorrow. It's -10 outside tomorrow. But I'm gonna go out for that run. And then it just never happens. A lot of times caregivers, they can find support in multiple ways. So there's multiple national agencies that can offer different sports. There's programs for like waiver programs and stuff like that. If you're financially able to meet the requirements, where you can get respite care, where somebody will come in and help take care of that person for you to give you that much needed break. There's caregiving, respite network, amazing network. You can go on there and you can look for different people in your area, right? That can help out. I'm a big believer in peer support groups, right? Because it's one thing to kind of be all all stuck in your head, right? And you've got so many different things going on. But if you talk them out to somebody else, all of a sudden those things that were big 1 minute are kind of small the next. Um, any questions or anything? I know I went through that a lot faster than the 1 hour, so I am going to apologize.
No, that's okay. Those are really awesome resources. Thank you for sharing those. Um, at this point, if anyone has any questions, you're welcome to drop those in the chat. I'm also happy to give you access to talk if you wanted to, um, unmute and chat. Otherwise, thank you for attending. You'll get an email following this either later today or tomorrow, where that will give you a feedback survey. If you take a few moments to fill out the survey, let us know how it went. Also drop ideas for future topics for the next year series. Um, but other than that, we get finished up a little early, so that's 30 minutes back in your day. Carrie and I will hang tight. So if you have any questions, we're here. Thank you. Thanks, Leah. It was really great information. The unsung heroes tend to forget and they hide in the back doing all this big, amazing stuff as caregivers. All right. If no one else has any questions, we'll go ahead and close out the room. You'll get an email and that has my email in it. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and I will get those to Carrie so that we can get those answered for you. Otherwise, you all have a fantastic day and hopefully a good week.